Hello. I figured it's a while since I've recorded a video, so I thought I'd show you Humbug version 0.28, which came out yesterday. And I'm going to show you a few capabilities that you might not have seen in the earlier videos. You might have seen some in some animated GIF files, but I figured it was worth explaining it. So while I'm talking, I'm just going to set it off with a problem. So I'm going to ask Claude Sonnet to go and build me a Sudoku solver. It's one of my favorite tests. It'll take a little while. So it's going to go off and build this for us. It's going to go and write it to the file system. And then I'm going to show you some of the capabilities where the LLMs inside of Humbug can interact with some other tools that you haven't previously seen. I'm also going to show you a little bit about some of the capabilities that the LLMs have for being able to analyze things. So you can see it's gone away and built as a Sudoku solver. This is a really, really simple thing for it to go and do. It's going to tell us a little bit about how it works. And it's fine to show that, but let's actually see it in action. We're going to ask it to open a terminal and run a program. So because, of course, Humbug has access to lots of tools, it can open the terminal. And previously, you might have seen versions of the terminal. The terminal was there for a human to use. Now, both the human and the LLM can interact with the same terminal. In fact, you can interact with more than one terminal. So it's going to try and run this. It's going to discover that it can't run Python because there is no command called Python. So it's going to try and run it with Python 3. And there you go. So it's actually run the Sudoku solver that's just built. And the nice thing about that is it actually debugged its own problem. And this is because it can read the terminal. It can also wait for terminal responses. So there's a clock that allows it to wait and pause. And so if something's going to take a while, it'll keep coming back and checking things. So there we go. We can see an example of it running a terminal. Now, one of the other interesting things that you can do with the latest versions of Humbug is it has a tool called AIFPL, which is a Lisp-inspired language. And this allows it to go and write analytical scripts as well as mathematical scripts. So I'm going to ask it to do something fairly silly and obvious. I guess about 12 lines of the terminal and sum all the numbers that appear. So it's going to go and read that terminal. It's just been running a program to write to. It's going to read the results and it's going to run an AIFPL script that will actually compute the results. And there you go. So in fact, you can see it's read all of the rows and it's actually summed them all together. And as we would expect, each of the numbers should be correct. They should be 45 because that should be the sum of all the digits from 1 to 9. And in fact, if you actually look at what it did, it actually wrote a little AIFPL script, which is effectively very Lisp-like. And the nice thing about AIFPL is it's side effect free. It can't write to anything, can't do anything destructive. So it's completely safe for the AI to go and use it for actually doing quite complex computations. You don't need to do approvals. Whereas if it was running a Python script, it could be doing almost anything. And I have seen AIs do some strange things at times. So Python scripts, you have to be very careful about what it's doing. AIFPL, it's absolutely benign. So there's an example of it using a couple of tools and interacting with the terminal. So the other thing that's an interesting capability is to have it explore code bases. So I have one here, which is a countdown program. And if you look on my blog site, you'll see I have some notes about it. This was something we put together as a bit of a challenge a few years ago. It was a fun thing to do. And it's based on the Countdown Numbers game, which is a famous TV show in the UK from Channel 4. It's been running for decades. And so I'm going to ask it to go and read this piece of code and tell me what it does. In this particular case, there's actually no documentation whatsoever with the code. It will actually go and try and find it if it exists. So you'll find it often try and find README files and work those out. Those are things that most of the LLMs are trained to do. But there we go. So it's worked out that this code is the Countdown Numbers game solver. And it explains what it does. And it's probably going to tell me that it's not particularly smart. It's brute forcing things. So it's very fast because it's written in C++, but it's not optimal. So let's ask it how might I'm going to ask it to write a report on how it might make these things better. And so what it's going to do is go away and write that report. It's going to save it to a file. And then we've got that file for later reference. But there's an example of how you can use these sorts of capabilities to analyze a code base that you're unfamiliar with and have the AI write you a detailed analysis. In fact, if you look at the Humbug source code, you'll find that all of the top level source directories all have README files, and those README files have all been written very much this way, where we've used an AI to actually write that top level summary, and they're super detailed. One of the nice things is that AIs will write quite exhaustive documentation and they'll do it over and over again, whereas human developers tend to get quite tired and bored of writing the same sorts of things over and over. So this is one of those cases where AIs can be incredibly helpful. So it's going to take a little while to write. It's probably going to write quite a comprehensive document. And Claude isn't necessarily the fastest AI at writing it, but it's very good at the quality of what it does. But we'll just leave it running for a little longer. Okay, so there we go. So there is that report. There we go. So we've asked it to preview the report, and there is the report that is just written in the preview view. Again, the LLMs have access to all of the tools in the preview view, which was previously called the wiki view. Just allows you to get a preview of a markdown file. So here we go. Here's the report that that Claude wrote about what could definitely be made an awful lot better about this piece of software. So anyway, that's a quick demonstration of some of the capabilities of Humbug. If you're interested, then you can find out more by visiting my blog site at davehudson.io. And if you look in the projects area, you'll find all sorts of information about the projects. That's got links to the GitHub as well. Thank you for watching.